Hi, welcome to All Things Possible TV. I'm excited to have you here with me. Thrilled that you are taking the time to watch this episode and to be a part of the All Things Possible community. Our episode this week is, Are You Really Enough? I'm going to go over the top 3 action steps for you to be a good value steward of yourself, and the top 3 things that you can do to change how you feel when you feel like you're not enough. To actually see the value inside and then express it. To be able to own that and to be that. And I'm excited to be able to share this with you. Before we get started, I want to invite you to go to my website and get your free gift. I teach about the 7 traits. The 7 traits that will ultimately change your life. It will help you to create the thriving life that you want. To be able to accomplish the things that you want, have more productivity, have a better relationship with your spouse, with your kids, with your coworkers, and be able to have more abundance. I want you to have that free gift. So go to my website at allthingspossible.biz. That's www.allthingspossible.biz. Right here on the screen, you can see it, and I would love for you to go get that free gift, to get your 7 traits to create your thriving life. When you get those 7 gifts, they come in an email. It's a video series, and it really can move you forward quickly because it allows you to see what you're doing, how you're doing it, how you could do it better, or how we can look beyond ourselves and actually put our focus on others, which will move you forward as well. So go get the 7 traits. Back to our episode for today. Do you value you? Are you really enough? What I find, I go into a lot of seminars, speak at a lot of different events, and what I find when I go in and I start speaking with the group, I can ask the question of, are you enough? Even when I'm in an expo and I have them fill out a little form, 90 to 98% will put, do I ever feel like I'm not enough? Yes. 98%. Once in a while, if I'm in a personal development group that's in a group that's been working on this for a while, I'll get about 90% that still say they're not enough. That is why I felt so strongly about doing this episode and really giving you some tips and those top 3 action steps that you can do right now to be a good value steward. Now, when we're a steward, we're in charge and it's our responsibility, right? When we take on that stewardship of making sure that it happens and that we do a good job of it, well, that's what we agreed to. If you're not a good steward for you, who is? It has to start within. It has to start deep down in your heart, inside of you, to be able to have that value expressed, and so that you feel it and you feel the confidence of it. Now, there's a lot of things that happen in our day, even our own children, and all these things can come at us that tend to knock little, divots in our value until we feel like we are not enough. And we need to be able to come up with a way to combat that. So these top 3 tips that I'm going to share with you today are going to help you with that. The first one is to believe in yourself. Now, I know that's easy to say, right? Oh, I believe in myself. I can do this. I'm okay, right? It does sound like it's too easy, but how much of the time are you spending in doubting yourself? Do you doubt your abilities? Do you doubt what you are capable of and what you aren't capable of? Do you say, I can't do that? Do you own that? Well, we need to believe in ourselves. You need to trust yourself. A lot of things come into play here. Integrity is a big piece. If you are not in integrity with yourself, it's hard to trust you. So if there's some things that are out of alignment, of course we've got to change those to begin with. But at the same time, believing in yourself goes much farther beyond just being in integrity with you. It goes into those little voices that we hear. Like when I was a kid, If we heard somebody heard voices in their head, or they're listening to those voices, we thought they were crazy, right? And yet all of us know it's those things that we hear and that we allow and that we think about ourselves that tear us down. They make us smaller and less valuable. They make us feel like we're not enough. What that comes from is that chatter going on and that continual negative feedback that we're getting, and we don't need to listen to that. We need to learn how to be positive about ourselves, how to accept ourselves, and also how to value where we are. And that doesn't mean that you can't always have an expectation of where you want to go. But when you believe in yourself, you say, okay, what's going on and what am I willing to do? We have to be able to say, I'm turning that chatter off. The things that we say to ourselves, our voice is the most believable voice that you will ever hear. If your subconscious is going to trust anything, it will be your own voice. So if your own voice is telling you, I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm not enough, of course you're going to believe it. Your subconscious doesn't have a choice. It's going to believe it and it's going to make it true. So that's where we need to stop that game. I want all of you to think about one of your really good friends. Would you ever stop and say, you're not enough, you did this wrong, la la la? Would you go on and say thing after thing after thing, day after day after day, and would you remain friends? No! They wouldn't want to be friends with you, you wouldn't want to be friends with them if they were saying the same things to you that you say to yourself. So the first thing we have to do is control what we say, control what we think. And when we start to have those feelings, we need to be able to switch that into something that is valuable. Something that we can believe and that we can trust. So number one, you've got to believe in yourself and you've got to be able to trust yourself. You've got to be able to build that and look for the good so that you have some backing to say, hey, I am a good person. And I am doing the best I can. Now, is there room for improvement? Absolutely. There's room for improvement with everyone. But that also should give you more value. Because if everybody could be on this continuing to improve on a continual basis, then we're all striving to be better. So we can be valuable in the process. So that's step number one. Believe in yourself. Be your own cheerleader. Now that's not bragging and boasting and doing that, although we do need to do some of that as well, and we'll get into that more. But believe in you. If you don't believe in you, who will? Bottom line, you have to believe in you for your value to be there. Because no one values you more than you value yourself. So if you want to be valuable and you want to be valuable out in society, you want to be a valuable parent, you've got to value you. Your kids won't value you any more than you do. Your coworkers won't value you as a manager any more than you value you. So you've got to believe in yourself. You've got to create that value. You've got to be that steward. The second item, number two, is to accept yourself. How many times do we go through life and we're just like, this is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is wrong. You know, this is wrong, this is out of alignment, I'm too heavy, I'm too this, I'm too that. You know, my hair's the wrong color. At what point do you accept yourself for who you are? Where you are? And what you have been through and what you're about? You know, it wasn't until a few years ago that I started to value what we had been through. All along, we'd gone through these really difficult challenges and these really hard things as a family, and I'd been really good at managing through it and getting past the really difficult parts and being strong and still an asset in the community, being self-employed. I had all these different things I was doing, and people started to say, well, what do you do? How do you do it? And it wasn't until I finally stopped and said, I do pretty good at this. I have been doing this and this and this, and these are the ways I learned this, and I started to value and accept myself, accept where I was right then. Now, again, Is there room for improvement? Absolutely. Right now, after a 2-year battle, almost 2 full years with some injury to my leg and my foot and some surgeries, I am nowhere near in the physical shape that I used to be in. Does that mean I'm not valuable? Absolutely not. Now, sometimes we can get in our stuff about it, but I am not in the best physical condition for my body right now, or even as good a condition as I was in. But I am on a continual challenge, a balance to do that right now. I get up every day, I work out every day, I'm on my way back, bringing my body back into full health. Was it a choice that I had? No. My body wore out, I had some issues, some surgeries, some stuff that had to be done. And so the more that I can just accept where I am and move forward, the more I can value me. The more I sit back and go, oh my gosh, I'm the heaviest I've ever been, and I have to be on stage, or I have to do a film, or people are going to see me, the worse it gets. When I can just love me and say, you know what, it's okay. And maybe because I am bigger or I am not as healthy, maybe some people will relate to that. I'm sure there's several of you that relate to me better right now because I have the imperfections and I'm still going on. I'm still doing what it takes to take it to the next level. I'm able to give you firsthand experience, and I do share my story. I tell you all kinds of things about me that some people are like, wow, you're really real, and I am. But I want you to be able to really see it and value it for where it is. When we accept ourselves completely, then we can be enough. And there's, again, room for improvement. There's always more area for us to strive to be better, to be healthier, to be more financially stable, to take our life to the next level. That's called goals. That's called dreams. That's called our vision of where we're headed. But we can be good with what is here and now. Accepting yourself is being kinder to yourself. I used to model. It was a lot of years ago. And when I modeled, I was extremely thin for 5'10", and I wore a really small size. For years, I told myself I was too big to be on stage. It was not, there was no way, because I was comparing to what that was. Well, what I want you to know is right now out there in the media, all these pictures are put up in magazines, movies, and all these things. They're photoshopped, they've perfected how they look. They've lengthened their neck, and they've cut their chin, and they've done this whole lengthening their body and thinning them out. And yet, we compare that to what we need to have be what we want. That's our expectation, right? And it's not even a reality. Let's talk about social media. So we go on social media, we jump on Facebook, and we see this person in Italy, and we see this person over, in Mexico, we see this person on a cruise, and we see this person with this photo shoot that they just did, and we see all these things, and yet we're sitting there comparing ourselves going, I am not good enough. I'm not enough. And yet we're seeing their highlight reel. We're seeing their best case scenario. Half of those pictures that you see on Facebook, okay, maybe not half, but it feels like about half of those pictures are photoshopped, cropped out, made to look better, and yet we're looking at their best case scenario and we are struggling because we feel we don't compare, we don't measure up. And in reality, we weren't supposed to measure up to their best. We don't compare our worst with their best. I know when you have something going wrong, and there's a fine line here with social media, because sometimes we're like, we're at the hospital, we have lots of stuff going on. But what I mean is when you're having a bad day and your kids are misbehaving, or you had stuff go on that you don't want to share, you don't share it. Yet we go and we look at everybody else's stuff of the grandiose thing they're doing, the out of the country service project, and their stuff they're doing, right? And we compare ourselves and say, oh, I can never do it, and I'm never doing all those good things. Well, that's not true, because they're doing the same thing on the other times that you're doing. What you need to do is accept yourself where you are. Start to gain value in what you have experienced, what you're going through, and how you're handling it, how you're moving to that next step, what you are doing in your life to create abundance, to create happiness and love. You need to be able to see what is possible and how to meet that new standard and love yourself on the journey. That is accepting you. Accept you right where you are right now and be okay with it. If you have young children, accept that you have small children. You're going to have lack of sleep. You're not going to get as much done. If you have teenagers, you're not going to get enough sleep. There's going to be times that you're up all night or that you're chasing kids and you're not sure you can handle it. There are going to be those times. There's even times now, I'm basically an empty nester and I have grown children. I worry as much for my grown kids as I ever did for my little kids. There's going to be times in your life where you have to just embrace where you are and move forward. When we were in the hospital with my son with cancer, the second time, and it was 3 brain tumors grew back in 5 months. So the same brain tumor grew back 3 times. We had brain tumor surgery over and over and over. And during that time, I really started to doubt that I was strong enough to handle it. Here I was, my child's facing death, and we're having a lot of issues, and I was just like, I don't know if I can do this. I've done it before, but I don't know that I can. And when I dug deep enough to go, do you know what? I handled it really well right here. And what got us through here was serving other people, taking our focus off of us and putting it on somewhere else. Who can we serve? How can we help? How can we make a difference in the world? That is when I began to be strong enough to feel like we were going to make it. And that no matter what happened in the outcome, no matter what it was, that I was going to be strong enough. That's accepting where I was right then at that time. Did I want to accept losing a child? No. Did I lose a child? No. But the more we start letting our mind run away with us, the less value we have. So we need to stop that. What's in our control? What can you change? What can't you change? Accept where you are. If you're in an apartment and you want a house, accept that you're in the apartment. Love it for what it is. And soon enough, you'll find a way to get into a house. Same thing if you are wanting to find someone that you can love. Accept where you are. Value you. Once you value you more and you feel that you are enough, you will attract other people. The more that you don't believe in yourself and that you don't feel like you're enough, the less people are attracted to you. So this is very important. So number 1, believe in yourself. Number 2, accept yourself. Right here, right now, just like it is. Accept it, love it, and embrace who you are, what you're learning, and what your abilities are. Learn your talents and your abilities. Be able to be willing to share what you do have, rather than put on this armor and hide. A lot of times when we feel like we're not enough, we tend to put this armor on, put this wall up, and hide from other people, feeling like they're not going to notice. Well, the first thing that you can sense is someone who doesn't feel good enough about themselves, or who's putting on a big front and is over-exaggerating and telling you all these stories that they really can't accomplish, right? So the real basis of this is to start where you are. Be okay with that. It's not a competition with anyone else. When you stop competing with everyone else and you start loving you for who you are, only compete with you. Compete with you, and when you love where you're at, you can take it to the next level. It's awesome to be able to get out of the box and to move on, but not until you're ready. It's a lot better to love yourself, accept yourself where you are, and then move to the next step so that you're ready to take that on. You're open and available to be able to do what it takes. The third top action step for you is to give yourself permission. Do you know, for a long time I waited and went to all these outside sources to be like, okay, so is my speech good enough? Or is this good enough? Or did my website measure up? And what do you think? I'm always wanting someone else's approval. And yet, I just need to give myself permission. Give yourself permission to be who you want to be all that you can be out there, to make a difference. If it's art that you love, have it be art. If it's health and nutrition, let it be health and nutrition. If you want to teach school, teach school. Be the best you that you can be. And give yourself permission to go to the next level. Give yourself permission to act on those feelings that you have inside, to trust yourself enough to know what your next thing is. Give yourself permission to have that passion, to have that energy and that level of, this is what I'm really about. If that means going out of the country and helping little kids, if that means doing, helping wild animals, like whatever that is for you, give yourself permission and stop waiting for the approval of others. You don't have to have anyone else's approval to take the next step in your life. You just need permission from you. When we give ourselves permission to act in any area, of course our subconscious believes it, it allows it, and it says, okay, here's what we're going to do. When I was a real estate investor, did I have to ask anyone else if I could do it? Well, maybe my husband, but no, I just said, this is what I am. We're going to buy real estate. And we were very successful with that. And when the market started to turn, did I have to ask everybody else's permission on whether I should dump it, let it go? No. I had the education, I went with it, I looked it up, I studied it, did research. Now, if you don't have the education, you need to research and ask a few people in research data, then yes, that's something that you need to do. But we knew at that point, because we had the education and we had done enough with real estate investing, we knew to let them go. Sell the things we didn't want to keep. And it was a great step. Now, I didn't have to have outside permission from everybody else. So why would I need permission to be a speaker? Why would I need everyone else's permission to be like, are you valuable? It starts within you. If it doesn't start in your heart, if it doesn't start inside of you, then you're still waiting for permission. Give yourself permission to be the best you possible. The only way that you can value you enough right now is for you to see the things that are working and make the improvements that you need to make on the things that aren't working. Being able to make a difference in your life will be so valuable when you start to value your talents, your abilities, the things that you've been through that have taught you great lessons. I am involved with National Speakers Association, and one of these last meetings that we went to, it was like, how many of you have written a book? And there were a lot of hands that were raised. And how many of you are going to write a book? Pretty much every hand went up. All of us have a story. All of us have where we've been and where we're headed. And if you aren't capturing your story, then you're not believing in yourself. You're not valuing you, and you're not giving yourself permission to take it to the next level. One of the things that I teach all the time is making a list of your achievements. Now, this comes into accepting yourself, because sometimes we don't think that we are enough and we don't accept where we are, and also for giving us permission to take it to the next level. Make a list of your accomplishments. Now, what this does for you is it gives you proof. So when you start to doubt yourself, when you start to feel that you're not as valuable as maybe that you really are, you can see proof. Are you a good mother? Did you ride a bike really well? Did you get awards in school? What are your qualities? What are your achievements? For a lot of people, just getting out of bed and doing a workout is an achievement. For others, getting a full night's sleep could be an achievement. Achievements don't have to be huge, but if they're not celebrated, they don't feel like an achievement. You don't feel like you've accomplished anything. And we need to go back to actually having that accomplishment mentality and feeling so that we do feel like we are enough. So make your list of accomplishments. I tell people to start with 50. When you have 50 accomplishments and you start reading through this sheet of accomplishments and you're like, really, I am valuable, I am enough, and I am good with what I have done, you will find that you will have more value in you. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode and the 3 top action steps that you can take to be a good value steward, to be a good steward of filling your own value and being enough. Again, those steps are: believe in yourself, accept yourself, and give yourself permission. Those are the top three steps that I run into all the time when I'm mentoring clients and I'm working with people. I want you to be able to feel like you are enough, to value you for who you are, to take your life to the next level, improve upon those things that you would like to improve upon, but also value who you are right now, right today, and be able to make a difference. Again, I want to invite you to my website to get your 7 traits. It's www.allthingspossible.biz. That's allthingspossible.biz. And I also want to invite you to click on the Contact Us button on our website and get your free strategy session. I love doing strategy sessions and being able to spend a few minutes with you on the phone and make a difference, give you some ideas of where you could change your life immediately and have better results. I love that you're here with me on All Things Possible TV. Thanks for being in our community. Subscribe to us so you never miss an episode. We put an episode out every week. We love having you here and hope to see you next week here on All Things Possible TV. Bye-bye.